And here we go. We are here again, streaming after 1 week of short pause between my stream. I took one week off. I hope everything is okay. Just tell me, guys, if the audio is not okay. I took the chance right after the release to do a big format on my computer. So all the configuration is new for the stream, so I hope everything is okay. Still hoping to hear from the forum that the audio is okay. Maybe the audio is okay. Okay, so yeah, I was lucky enough to get all the configuration right. Actually, I forgot that I didn't have. Actually, this thing is telling me that the audio is a bit high, so let's put it a little bit down. I completely forgot that I had to do the stream, and the configuration was not really ready, so I had to re-download everything. A little bit of stress. So let's start. First of all, I want to say to Mauro, best luck. You know, Mauro is in the hospital right now. He had an operation to the knee. He follows me on Twitter, and I hope you, man, get well soon. And yeah, so this is what I call a summer special. What it is basically a stream that I try to be a little bit more fast if I can. Just give a little bit of information on what's going on, and eventually, probably not planning to do every week. We will see. As I said at the end of the last stream, if there is something interesting to talk about, I will set up a stream. Otherwise, we will see. At the end of August in Europe is still a month for holiday, so yeah. I'm trying to sort of slow down a little bit as far as freedom goes, compared to the last 3 or 4 months. I've been really crazy busy. So let's move on as usual with the question from the last stream, and let's start with Furious Me, that is asking if I were to create a new engine for Assetto Corsa for whatever reason, would you go for Vulkan or DirectX 12? And he's a Linux user, so he's going for he prefers Vulkan. I think like every game developer out there, what I will do, I would start experimenting with both technologies and see how comfortable I am using one or the other, and that will immediately point out after a couple of months what is the technology that is offering the best tools and the best performance, and that feels more comfortable to the programmer or the programmers to use. So usually the biggest selling point at the moment for Vulkan is really cross-platform, but funny enough, cross-platform is not really that big deal, especially when it comes to graphics, because if you are a game studio and you're already targeting something like the PlayStation, it's this very loud buzz. Oh my god, there is something wrong here. Hold on. I think the microphone was a little bit too high. I hope it's better now. I knew this was going to be. There you go. I hope it's better. I had red lights everywhere. Let's this one. Oh. Oh my god, it's so frustrating because I really don't know. Now they're saying okay, they cannot hear me. Sorry guys, I need to wait a little bit until I get a confirmation. That is a little bit better. Very annoying. It's getting worse. So okay, let's do this. Let's stop this one and start again, and I will get the. I don't think I can do this real time. Let's try. Let's try to do really. I don't know if I can do this real time. If I can switch. Let's see. All right. So hopefully now we should have this microphone going on. So in theory we should be okay now. Waiting to see, otherwise I will have to restart the stream from scratch. Okay, it's okay now. So let's go on. So yes, so we were talking about Vulkan and DirectX 12, and yeah. So what I was saying is that if you are a game studio that is already targeting platform like the PS4, you already have an engine that is able to switch between graphics API, and funny enough, that code that is doing that particular. So if you get a software like Assetto Corsa, probably the API specific part is going to be something like, I don't know, 1% or 2% of the entire source code. So it's not really a big deal to have something that is cross-platform. Also because, especially at the level that Vulkan is, there is, you know, super low level. So even if the API is the same but the platform is different, you know, you will be required to code something slightly different. So from my point of view, it's not really a huge selling point. Historically, in the last 10 years, I think DirectX has been a much better platform, you know, much better. Drivers were much better, whatever the reason it is, compared in that case to OpenGL. But the best example that I can give is something like Unity, and Unity comes from the Mac world. So they started with OpenGL, and when they moved to Windows, they actually realized that DirectX was a better platform. So they ended up using DirectX on Windows. So yeah, I think at the end, most developers don't have teams. We just use whatever makes our life easier, and you know, in the last 10 years for me has been DirectX. Funny enough, the very first prototype of the editor, of the graphic engine that was running in an editor that eventually became Assetto Corsa was in OpenGL. So there was starting in OpenGL and then moved back to DirectX. So there you go for the DirectX against Vulkan. Leonardo is asking about explaining the damage model and how it affects the handling. He's saying it would be nice to have affect more the open wheeler and less the street car. As far as suspension damage, I think it's already the case that open wheeler are or should be more easy to damage as far as suspension goes. For bodywork, the only effect you will have is aerodynamic effect. So not really incredibly advanced as far as damage. I think our solution is super simple, nothing super complicated. Splendid Truth is asking about the community mod turning into official content like the Shelby of the Lamborghini Miura. It's asking if do you decide on whether to make a mod official based on how they received by the community, or do you check the mod under the hood to check if they're faithful to real data and if the work is in Kunos standard? Well, the answer to this is that no, we don't check the data because we don't use it. So when we acquire mod, usually we acquire only the 3D part of the mod, and we end up redoing the physics completely, and also the audio. One example is really the Shelby, the Cobra, that in the original mod version, you were, I mean, I was really struggling even to do one single corner in Vallelunga without spinning, and the rear suspension was completely, crazy. So Aris redid the entire physics for that car. Of course, because you're modeling the same car, you might end up with similar numbers or the same number somewhere, but generally speaking, we just get the 3D model, and then the 3D model goes to our graphics guy that will work on it. Depending on the model, some models require a little bit of work, some models require a little bit more work. The Shelby Cobra was another example that at the time, I remember, if you were trying to race against AI, the performance was really bad because the car had lots of triangles that it shouldn't have in places it shouldn't have. So there is a huge work involved in bringing converting something like that. So we don't get the mod and put it into Assetto Corsa. We get the 3D and then redo everything else as it was a completely new car. Giuseppe William Giamundo is asking the possibility to change the clutch linearity. I did that into the code, and also with Aris we decided, and he did rework all the clutches for every car, and basically making the clutch much less powerful. So that should it gives a couple of effects. The first effect is a little bit easier to start. If you remember the stream that I did some episode ago, where I was showing different possibility to start a car. Now in theory should be a little bit easier because of the clutch is not linear anymore, so there is more sensibility in the upper part, which is similar to what I did in that stream, and also the clutch itself, all the clutches values are much lower. So yeah, and the other effect which is nice is the fact that the car a little bit more stable when downshifting, because as the clutch is coming out and it doesn't have that much power compared to before, the impact of the engine is much less. So yeah, that's one of the things that will change in 1.8. Phantomas is asking about the AI. Okay, I will just quickly, is basically running the Exos 125 against the Abarth 595. and is discovering that he's not able to pass it. And one of the reason is that, if you remember, I think what happened was that I wrote some code in order for cars to understand when the car in front of them was not the same class, so they could just move out and pass them. But then what happened was that I sort of hit a sort of wall where I couldn't solve some problems with the AI, and ended up rewriting the entire system for the way the AI is treating the other cars, which is what gave 1.7 a good improvement when it comes to AI. At least, it's the first time that I start to read around that people are enjoying the AI in Assetto Corsa, which makes me really, really happy. The problem was that code that I wrote the week before is not there in the new code, so I will have to put it back there. And so the car will eventually do something similar to what we saw in the original stream, where I showed a race with different cars and an Abarth 500. Victor Dima is asking about he's saying that he's very excited about the Sopraelevata, and he's asking if there are more classic tracks in the work. And we will have the classic version of Silverstone coming, not in this update, in one of our future updates. So that's the other classic historical track that is going to come, and is going to come like Monza 66 with the Sopraelevata. Is going to be a free update within this year. Overt is asking that he saw in my launcher that I can set up the practice with more than one car. He's asking why this is not possible to be added into the game. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Assetto Corsa, the simulation part doesn't really care, so it's all about what the launcher allows you to do. And I think the idea was that it didn't make much sense to have AI in practice. I don't know, yeah, it could be something that could be added to the launcher. I don't know. James Prentice is asking. Is basically talking about the behavior of the AI, sometimes breaking mid corner or in corner exit, things like that. He's talking about allow them to coast. Yeah, sadly the way AI works, but I don't think this is a problem with Assetto Corsa. I think it's a problem with pretty much every AI that I saw in every game until now. Is the fact that the AI has sort of two states, and one state is oh my god, I'm too fast, I'm going to not to be able to do the line. This is what Assetto Corsa does. At a certain point the AI analyzes the situation and decides, I need to brake now because I'm too fast otherwise I won't be able to finish this corner. So what is happening is that there are situations, especially in fast corners, when this evaluation is wrong, and it's something that I've been trying to figure out since the beginning of Assetto Corsa. Sadly, it's not that easy. And it's a constant work to make it happen. So the car don't. Well, as I said, it's very difficult to get into a situation. There are corners. Take for example the Eau Rouge for some cars. As a player, we approach sometimes some corner, or the first fast corner in Vallelunga. In some cars, you just approach that and you just lift a little bit, and then you slow down, and then you do the corner. While if you look at the AI, what the AI is doing, the AI is getting to a point and then tap the brake and then doing the corner. And it comes down to the fact that basically there is no way. Well, there is a way, but it will be too computationally complicated to have the AI analyze two possibilities: a possibility where you are coasting, and a possibility where you're braking. And it's very difficult to analyze that in the future with decent performance. So that's the reason why it's like that. If I come up with some idea, as sometimes happen, when I sleep, this could change, but at the moment we need to live with this. Matthew Pierrot and Andrew Richardson are asking very similar questions. They are talking about last stream when I had when I was talking about the fact that the AI, when you were hitting an AI car, the AI was instantly reacting, and it gave this impression that it was impossible to, that had much more grip than you. And they're asking basically, is it possible to add lag, which is the obvious solution. Has been in Assetto Corsa from I think the very first version of the AI is simply turned off, because as soon you start to add lag on the steering wheel on the AI, what you get is you start to get the AI wobbling around the track. So what was happening was that many times, it's still something that can happen in Assetto Corsa, but it's pretty rare, but it still can happen. What was happening is that you were hitting this car, the artificial intelligence was entering into this mode with lag, so it was starting to wobble around, and eventually it was starting to get sideways a lot, and then the system at a certain point needs to switch back to the normal algorithm. Even once the AI was very sideways, even the normal algorithm couldn't really realign the car, so you had this AI doing half straight, doing this pendulum back and forth, and it looked completely ridiculous. So at the moment it's turned off. I did already some changes for 1.8, and I added that thing that we discovered in the last stream. So I added, I finally was able to get the AI to spin. So I added these traction mistakes, which are very similar to the braking mistake you sometimes see the AI locking tires while braking. And so what is happening now is using the fact that it's taking the stability control off to either get the AI sliding a little bit sometimes, and other times they slide too much and they end up spinning. And that's an interesting evolution. I don't know if it's going to be 1.8, because it opens up a lot of situation again that can look ridiculous. I had one guy spinning at the S corner in Vallelunga. He spun, he hit the wall, and he came back into the track, and he stopped there with the engine broken. And as you know, in the middle of the corner, the AI still has problems to understand that he needs to pass this guy. So they were queuing behind this guy that was stopped. So adding this kind of mistakes, big mistakes, can add to situation where the AI does the wrong thing. So we will see how this thing is evolving, but it is very promising nevertheless. And the other thing that I did was that as soon you impact the AI, for a couple of seconds, the AI stability control goes off. So you get a little bit more reaction from the car, from the AI. So it's a matter of see how this goes in beta testing and how it evolves, and if it gets to a point where it's possible to release it. PMC 40 is asking what's the reason why we didn't release Monza with Oval. If I said that I raised it months ago in multiplayer, well, mostly because we were doing other things, and because it still needed work for the AI and the timing and so on. So yeah, but it's coming, so the wait is over. Andrea Nania is asking a very interesting question. Is basically saying, how do we set the priority for bug fixing? Like, if I fix this because I can do it right now, or whatever. So what's the priority? The priority is very simple. If it is a crash or something that really stops people from playing, then it's like maximum DEFCON reaction. So it's like try to fix it as soon as possible. Just to give an example, there was an update, I think it was 1.7.2, where we fixed something that had to do with when 1.7 was released. There was this bug that if somebody was disconnecting from the multiplayer, the smoke of that car remained visible, in the air, not animated. And so I went to fix that bug, and when I fixed it, it worked totally fine. And then we released, and then it turned up that if people had smoke disabled, they were getting a crash straight away. And that's really shows a lot of the balance between trying to fix something as soon as possible, and what is happening sometimes. The huge risk is that if you don't test something properly, you risk to release something that break the game for somebody else. So that was the crash with smoke. That, for example, was a maximum emergency crash. So it's like it's one of those things that you go there and you fix immediately. And so the more it impacts more people, especially if they cannot play the game, that's something that require, of course, maximum attention. And then we go down with priority. Sometimes there are bugs that are not really sometimes, as you see in the forums, sometimes you see the famous as design. Sometimes there are bugs that are not bugs, but it's just how the software is designed to work. And sometimes there are bugs that don't have an immediate solution or an easy solution. And to end this one, we go to Jairo Jose Marti Cabello, and he's asking, this guy, he was saying basically this is interesting because he's starting a huge discussion on the last video comment section, and he say if we had discussed the possibility to sell cars one by one instead by DLC. And the funny thing, of course, is that the guy doesn't really know the amount of work that is required for a car. So he's quoting if it takes 2 weeks or if it takes 3 days, which of course is not the case. It's not really the case. I think the quickest we can do a car, comprehensive of everything, should be more in around 6 or 7 weeks. That easily become 8. So that's the typical amount of work that is required to develop a car. originally the idea of Assetto Corsa was exactly that. The original idea of Assetto Corsa was a free-to-play game where you could buy cars separately. Why we do DLC? I don't know. I think for the end user, the price difference is not really that big, and I think the DLC gives you, I think, the possibility to give a chance to cars that you probably wouldn't. So, for example, if you are fanatic about modern Formula One and you got the red pack, you might try the Maserati 250 and find, well, that's an amazing car. That's a car that I will never have considered buying, and you find and you will enjoy it. So yeah, it was the original plan, but I still think the DLC is a better way, especially the way we do DLC, which, apart probably from the Japanese pack, I think the way we do DLC, we put a little bit of everything. So you get a lot of variation inside the DLC, and it's sort of try to make everybody happy. Okay, so let's move quickly to what's new for what I've been working these days. Well, I took 1 week off. Yeah, I'm guilty of taking 1 week off. I really didn't. I really didn't take a week off. It's just, as I was saying, I'm trying to slow down to sort of normal working time. If I can keep my working day, in the 6 hour per day, I'm happy. I'm also trying to learn something different. I'm trying to do something with Rust, which is a new programming language. As people again follow me somewhere on Twitter or whatever, they know that I'm sort of language geek. I like to try different languages, and Rust was one language that I find that probably is one of the languages that can rival C++ when it comes to complexity. It's really, really hard. It's a really hard language to learn. It's got fascinating concepts, but really, really hard to learn. Anyway, probably I'm still thinking one of these days I should do like going through all the possibilities as far as game programming is concerned with languages. So anyway, I did something nevertheless, and one interesting thing is something that people were talking about, as they've been talking and complaining about this, not just the people, us as well, since the time of Ferrari Virtual Academy. Actually, we always had some problems with reflections in Assetto Corsa. So reflections tend to sort of it's so loud. Sort of fuck up a little bit on the car borders, and so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was wrong in the shader, and I'm not sure that the stream quality is enough, nowhere near enough to get this. So I think you will have to wait eventually for the new version to see the difference. So the way reflection looks is much smoother, especially when you get more far from the car. They stay very stable, much better. So I think it's a big improvement in there. One other improvement, if you follow me on Twitter, and you might notice as well, now I'm streaming, but if I don't stream, I'm hitting 300 frames per second, which is a sort of a scary victory for me, because I remember when I started Assetto Corsa, Netcar Pro was doing 300 frames per second on the hardware at the time, and so I sort of feel like we are back in that stage where there is a lot of power available. Although Assetto Corsa being a different project, you're still talking about it's only one car, so there is lots of improvement. But anyway, what I was saying is that performance got a little bit better, and now we started beta testing, so we are going to start to get some feedback from testers and try to confirm that this improvement in performance is something that everybody is saying. So that as well. And last is I did some work on the shadows, which also had some problem in Assetto Corsa. The thing that most annoyed me was, let's see if we can see it. The thing that most annoyed me is that when you watch replays, you had this something that really looked like a LOD, an LOD switch in the interior, where you had this interior completely change color as the car was moving. And what that was actually the shadow. You were actually moving from one shadow cascade to another shadow cascade. If you don't know what a cascade is, the way shadows work in most modern games is that you calculate like a shadow texture, a number of shadows texture going more far from the camera, and every shadows texture sadly has a resolution switch. So that's the shadow, for example, on the wall that you feel like it's following you and it's just changing the resolution. So I did a lot of work on something called shadow bias, which again is something very technical that is designed to avoid having shadow artifacts where an object is shadowing itself when it shouldn't. So I did a lot of work on the math there, and I think I got to a point where it became really, really much more difficult to see. You definitely don't see that sort of cockpit lighting up anymore, and that was down to the bias being too aggressive. So what is happening right now is that the bias is automatically calculated from the distance of the shadow that changes from camera to camera. So yeah, we are in a situation where shadows are definitely more stable. Let's see a little bit from here. Again, I don't know, and I don't think you can see this from the stream, but you don't get stuff on the wall following you. Of course, this is highly dependent on the sun position, where the sun position is. But I hope it's an improvement. For example, we can see. I don't know if you can see it here on the wall, on the blue part. You can see a little bit of shadow artifact. What it is in this case, I think it's the wall is going in. Let's check if it is really the case. There you go. What is happening right here? See, now this is sort of the correct shadow. What is this? Is that the wall is really going in this part of the track. So this is what we're seeing. So the sort of shadow here is just coming from a different resolution. Yeah, so that's the other thing that got improved. And I took 1 week off. So imagine if I don't take a week off. And yeah, so the rest of the month is going to be a little bit more work on probably on things like I would like to do some experiment with the blue flag and see if we can manage to get some sort of penalty for not respecting blue flag, at least in multiplayer, and not in single player. So we will see. We have to run some experiment to see if the software can figure out when you actually deserve or you don't reserve a blue flag. And as you know, the other things that we'll definitely look into are finishing the race on the right lap. So if you are one lap down, finishing the race as soon you pass over the finish line after the leader. So that's one thing. Okay, so let's move on to the last part of this stream, which is something that I was thinking to do when I put on Twitter the screenshot. It was I think it was a usual night where I was able to get the performance boost. I got a couple of questions regarding CPU occupancy on the render stat, and I really realized that that's not really clear what it is. So I'm trying to explain here the situation. This is a very quick history of how we got to the situation where Assetto Corsa is. So this is how Netcar Pro, or every game from 10 or 15 years ago, before the era of multi-core and multi-thread processing was working. So you had a situation where in this line you have the GPU. So this is one frame of GPU, and on this line you have the CPU. So at the time of Netcar Pro, you had one processor, one thread doing all the work. And what it was doing was in a situation where you had 1666 milliseconds for every frame, it means we're doing 60 frames per second. What we were doing on the CPU was calculating how many physical steps we needed to calculate in order to catch up with the real time of the game. So if we were doing 16 milliseconds, we had to do sort of 4 or 5 physical steps. In case of Netcar Pro and Assetto Corsa of 3 milliseconds, we calculate 3 milliseconds of simulation for every physical step, which give a frequency of the physics engine of 333 hertz. So what you were doing was saying, okay, so we need to do like 5 to catch up with the graphics. So you were doing this 5 one after the other, bang, 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 bang. Of course, in order to do that, it means that to calculate 3 milliseconds, you had to be much faster than 3 milliseconds, because in the time of Netcar Pro, you still had to then go on and work out all the graphics where the various objects are, and then send all the information on the GPU. So you were calculating this physics, then you calculate everything else for the graphics, send it to the GPU, and you see that the GPU is starting a little bit after to work. So it's like the GPU is waiting for you here, and then you finish the physics, blah blah blah, and you start send stuff to the GPU. And what this arrow is interesting is that this show the graphical lag. So this position was in Netcar Pro the last position where your input. I moved this. Where your input, your steering wheel, was detected. So you detect the steering wheel here, and also send the force feedback. And so once you detect it here, then you will have to wait at least this time to see it on the screen. So, and that's the kind of lie. In reality, is much worse than this, because reality is much more complicated than this, because between the GPU and the CPU here, there is something else, which is there is DirectX or OpenGL, and then there is the graphic driver. So there are 2 more elements there between these two. So it's a little bit more complicated. And then you have your graphic card hardware and then the monitor. So what it usually happens is that there is a little bit more lag. It's not nowhere near close to this value. And then what happened was that multi-core started to happen, and so game programmer started to try to find a way to work out what was the way to take advantage of the multi-core processing. And the best way to do this for a typical video game is to get all the work that you can do, subdivide this work in what is called jobs. So you say, okay, so one job could be I don't know, update all the driver model for the car. A job is something that you can do independent from as many things as possible. So you do a job that has as you know, the ideal situation is where you have an input for everything, and then you can do all this job in whatever order you want, and then end up to a result. Reality is more complicated than that, of course, and then you have jobs that depends from other jobs to be finished. Like, for example, if you have a job to send the driver position to the graphic card, first of all, you are dependent from the jobs that are calculating or the driver position, so you need to wait for those jobs to be finished. And because rendering has an order, you also need to wait. In the case of the game that I do, you need to wait, for example, for the track to be done and for your car to be done in some situations. So yeah, so the ideal situation is where you are smart enough that you can divide all the work that your game has to do into these jobs, and then you say, well, okay, so I have this, I don't know, 40 jobs to do, and I have available, I don't know, 4 logical processors or 8 logical processors, and you start to say, okay, so you do this, you do this, you do this. They all start in parallel and you know, as quickly as possible. In a normal game where the physics is calculated at a very low rate, you know, a typical game like could be Doom or a first-person shooter, normal games that are not racing simulation, even flight simulators, they have a physics rate of very low, something like 30 or 60 hertz, because they don't have to work with very stiff springs like race simulators do. We have tires, we have suspension. They are very, very stiff systems and require very high frequencies in order to be calculated. Plus, we are trying to analyze the behavior of a car moving very fast over a very detailed surface. So if your physics engine is not fast enough, and there is a bump, you could literally go, you know, from no bump to no bump and completely miss the bump there if your physics rate is too low. So the car does a jump that is too big from various iteration. So the bad thing about this is that for situations like a racing game, if you do your physics at the very beginning and you take and you need to do this because of course all the other jobs about graphics depends on what you do here. So you sample your steering wheel here, and so you know once you're done here, well, sorry, I was saying you do this, but you do it for the next frame, so you're not waiting. This is our already graphics working on the information from the last frame. So what is happening here is that you calculate something that then gets fed into the graphics information the frame after, and then it goes at screen. So what you start to get 2-frame latency in your inputs from what you see. So that's really not ideal. The other thing is that because you're running, and this is easier to see here as well. In Netcar Pro, you had one input sampling every frame. So that means that if the game was running at 60 frames per second, your steering wheel will be read at 60 frames per second, and your force feedback will be 60 frames per second. If the game is running at 200, your steering will be read at 200, your force feedback will be at 200. So in a game like Netcar Pro, the performance of the physics was really influencing the way you were feeling the car, because when the input were sampled. And this situation has the same problem. Even if you start to do many physics steps, you're still doing, bang 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 at the beginning of a frame. So it doesn't really, it doesn't change anything if you sample your steering wheel like 5 times, because you will be sampling 5 times in 1 millisecond. You really don't care of sampling 5 times in 1 millisecond. It makes sense if it is spread out. Interestingly enough, this is also what the Assetto Corsa, how it's called, the tech preview word. In the tech preview, we had a system that was much more similar to this, so it was also frame rate independent. And then we come to the situation of what Assetto Corsa does. So Assetto Corsa does the usual GPU work. So in case of 16 blah blah blah, so that's your 60 frames per second. Then you have one thread that is doing all the graphics. So it's doing bang the graphics and send it to the GPU, bang the graphics. So this is one frame. And then you have another thread, actually more than one, but to simplify, let's say it's one, that is actually calculating the physics every 3 milliseconds. So every 3 milliseconds, this thread is calculating the physics, and is reading your input, and is calculating your force feedback. And this is totally independent. There is no connection between these two. So the only communication between these two is a very small part of the code, where one of them gets stopped, and it happens at the very beginning here of the graphic frame, and it's fractions of milliseconds. Is really not something you can see, where basically at the beginning of the thread, the graphic thread is asking to the physics, okay, give me your last available state, and the physics is sending this. And this has a lot of advantage. First advantage is that we're back into a little bit more than 1 frame lag. It's like it's 1 frame plus maximum 3 milliseconds, because what is happening is that you get the input here that's get fed to the graphic frame that is starting straight away, maximum 3 milliseconds away, and then this goes straight away to the graphic. So there is really, as Netcar Pro, you have very small lag between this. The other advantage is that really this copies the way professional simulations are working. Usually what happens in professional simulation is that the physics is actually running on a different computer altogether, and it's running something like that. It's running bam 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 at a steady rate, and it's sending the data to the graphic. The graphic is getting the last available data, and is creating an image, and is sending to the screen. So this kind of architecture really mirrors very well with the kind of work that we also do for professional customers in Assetto Corsa. And that brings us to our original question: what does it mean when we read a number in the CPU render stats? So what is that number? So what is happening here is that we're saying that the frame is 16.66 milliseconds. Let's say that we have a situation where our CPU is working out, so is preparing this graphic frame and is doing its work, and then is done in, let's say, 12 milliseconds. Okay, so at the end of this, the graphic thread on the CPU says, okay, I'm done. I sent all I have to send to the GPU, or at least to the driver. And at that point, again, reality is not really like that, but bear with me. At that point, let's say that the CPU sort of stops there and wait for the GPU to be done with the frame, so the CPU can start with the next frame. So in this case, so we have 16 here and we have 12 here. So in the CPU render stat, what the CPU render stat is basically is expressing this relationship between how long it took on the CPU and how long it took the entire frame to be finished. So in this case, it's simply 12 divided by 16, which is 72%. So that's what it means. So let's say, for example, that your render app is telling you, so let's say, for example, that you are doing 75 frames per second. So that means that to do one frame, it took 13 milliseconds. And let's say that your render app is telling you 95% of the CPU. So that will tell you that while it took 13 milliseconds something to do a frame, on the CPU it actually took 12 milliseconds to do that. Now, what that means for you, I don't know. Generally speaking, what the idea, we really don't know what the ideal situation would be. Definitely, if you see very low numbers, if you start to see something like 30% or 40%, that's really telling you that your CPU is ending the frame very, very quickly, and is really telling you that your GPU is just not able to keep up with the CPU. So the CPU is finishing its job very, very quickly, but then when it comes to render the frame, the GPU is too slow. The more you get to 100% or close to 100%, the more you can take it as an indication where your CPU becomes more a bottleneck. So potentially your GPU could be faster than that, could go faster than that. It's important not to to give too much importance to this value. Like, for example, people notice that in the tweet that I did, the frame rate went up and also the occupancy went up. So that's interesting. But that's also something that to be expected, because let's try to put some numbers. In that case, let's see if I can find my tweet that I did. So we try to have a look at it. Where was it? Here it is. Okay, so let's get this example. So in this case, we were doing 75 frames per second. So exactly we know already that 75. Here we go. 75 also means 13.2 milliseconds. Okay, that's the frame time. And it was saying that the CPU was taking 74%. So if we take 13.2, so the CPU was taking 9.5 milliseconds. Okay, so the CPU was taking 9.5 milliseconds to calculate everything, and it was rendering at this speed. Now, after the optimization, we had the frame time went down to 10.5, and the CPU went up to 90, but didn't really go up. 10.5 is 9.4 milliseconds for the CPU. So you see that it was 9 point something here, 9 point something here. What does this mean? It means that the amount of work that a CPU really didn't change. What it changed is the efficiency in talking with the GPU. So it's doing the same amount of work, but is able to talk with the GPU better, and so the GPU is able to finish faster than before. So these numbers are not always totally obvious to understand, sadly. You shouldn't really go crazy, and unless you have very strange numbers. I told you, unless you have a very CPU number here that really is really telling you that your graphic card is not up to the task. Otherwise, let's say it's more an information for me than for you. But I hope at least gives you an idea of what's going on here. And let's finish with the physics number, which is also very important. And again, this is a relationship between, we know that every physics step in Assetto Corsa needs to be 3 milliseconds. So what this number is how long it took to do one step divided by 3 milliseconds. So if your CPU, in this case, if this step took me 2 milliseconds, I don't know if you can read, so if it took 2 milliseconds to do this, and I was supposed to finish it in 3 milliseconds, then I'm using 66% of the physics power. And this is the number that when it goes to 99%, you get the warning saying, oh, warning, 99%. What does it mean? It means that the software is not able to run real time anymore. Real time means that the calculations that you're doing take less time than the amount of time that you are simulating. So and that usually happens. In this moment, we have a lot of that happening at Monza, when because the AI is more aggressive. In Monza, a T1 after the start, they are too aggressive with some car, and what is happening is that they all end up hitting each other. So you end up with this huge connection of collision one to another. That becomes incredibly heavy both for the collision detection and for the solver to solve, and then you get the 99%. As soon as you pass and the software slow down, because imagine the situation where it started to take like 6 milliseconds to calculate 3 milliseconds of physics. What is happening is that you're going more slow than real time, so that's why the software starts to look like it's slow motion. The way Assetto Corsa works is that it will keep going slow motion until it's off by 1 second. The moment that it's off by 1 second, it will drop frames, so it will just jump frames, and you will not be able to trust the simulation anymore. That's why there is the warning saying 99%. So this should clarify a couple of things. One thing is that in Assetto Corsa, whatever you do regarding the graphic side, even if you're running a 4 frames per second, the car will still feel the same and it will still drive the same. You will not be able to have a visual feedback of what is going on, but as far as the simulation and the force feedback, it will feel exactly the same, because the two threads are completely independent from each other. So that's one information, and I hope this clarifies things. I know it's not the most clear explanation in the world. I do my best. Anyway, let's move on to the questions. What time it is? Okay, we are 1 hour. So let's see some question coming. Right now on the chat, they're talking about PS4. I don't know why. Lino Carrera is asking, will it be too complex to take advantage of the multi-viewport technology in the NVIDIA cards to improve performance on the VR and triple monitor? Yes, I'm working on that. And we hope to be able to show that together with NVIDIA at Gamescom. So I hope so. Yes, on triple screen I'm working at the moment, not on for VR. Felipe is saying that he left a question on the last stream. I saw the question. What the question was is basically asking for more support for modder. The simple answer is that we literally don't have. It's not really just about time. We just don't have the energy to do that at the moment. So all I can say is sorry. All I can say is that, I understand completely that modding is an important part of Assetto Corsa, but sadly, you also need to understand that my job is to put out a game that works and works for everybody, and that takes a lot of energy from me and from Aris, and so spending even more time on the forum talking about these things at the moment is honestly, I just don't have the strength to do it. So hopefully in the future, things will get better, but at the moment that's the honest truth. That's the honest truth, especially because especially in the past, interaction with physics modders has been always very stressful. Not always, but often very stressful for us. And if you follow the various drama that surrounds Assetto Corsa in the sim racing world, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that sort of created a feeling of unease for me and for Aris, and I really hope you understand. I don't expect you to understand. I don't expect you to justify us. The only thing that I want to say is that it's very tough. It's very tough because there is a lot of energy going into what we're doing every day, and then continue and going on the forum, which sadly it's a place full of negativity, is very hard. So I hope that answers your question. So Danilo is asking if the physics thread is running in another node. I think he means core. Will the low communication speed between nodes, again he is talking about cores, become relevant? No, it doesn't, because the amount of data that we are sharing is as small as possible. So from all the tests that I did, is basically non-existent. So definitely not. It's not something that is going to slow down at all. What is going to slow down, and it's something again that I forgot to say, and it's something that will be experimental in the new version via an ini switch. What could be happening with Windows? With Windows, we sort of give up the control on where the threads are running. So I say to Windows, well, these are my threads that I need to run, and sort of Windows decides where to run these threads. So potentially there is a possibility that the graphic thread at a certain point gets stopped to run because Windows decide that it wants to run the physics thread on the same core, which is something that we never want to happen. We never want that to happen. It's something that, for example, on the console, if we don't do that, we get stuttering immediately on the console. We need to say, this is your core, this is your core, this is your core, go do your stuff. Windows, usually Windows scheduler is very good. So for example, on my computer, I never had this kind of problems, but now I introduce a new settings for, especially for i7s. So you need to have the 8 logical processor to switch this thing, and it will actually be more precise on Windows and say, okay, so the graphic threads needs to run on this core, the physics thread needs to run on this core, so they never sort of cross each other. Also, there are some CPU where the memory cache is per core. So imagine you have a thread that is running on this core. If Windows decided to move it on another one, it loses all the memory cache that it was here. If it move over here, at least that's the situation on the console. On the computer, I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, so there will be something else that it would be possible to test in 1.8 and see if it gets better. On my computer, it doesn't do any difference at all. So asking if we are revisiting damage and collision modeling, absolutely not. Definitely not at this stage, no. Lino is asking, will be a huge complexity to give one player car and exclude him from the charts during multiplayer race? So he's asking about spectator mode. Yes, it's is so complex that at the moment you start to do that, it's better to do a proper spectator mode. Stefano, any possibility to have red lights work on the Fanatec steering? I don't know. The reason I don't like to do that is because Fanatec requires to, in order to do that, it requires to have some libraries into the game, which is not something that I'm crazy about, because I hate the situation. Like right now, I would like to move from Visual Studio 2013 to Visual Studio 2015, which is also the one that we're using for the console. So it's like the PC version is behind from this point of view. I cannot do that because one of our libraries doesn't work well with Visual Studio 2015. And I remember back in the time I had exactly the same problem with the Fanatec stuff when moving from 12 to 13, and that's when it ended up out from the system. So Vive support, nothing yet. Where is Marco? Is Marco in the chat? I see people that are asking question to Marco. Is Marco in the chat? I missed him. He's in the chat. He's in the chat and is asking about rain. No rain, sorry, Marco Massarutto. Victor asking something about without post-processing, and as I answered, I think already a couple of times, Assetto Corsa is with post-processing. If you decide to run it without, you can do it, but good luck. No cross-platform multiplayer between console and PC. Alex is asking if that I show a system in another stream, a system where I wouldn't, at the end of the race, you wouldn't be teleported at the end of the race, and what happened with that one. I don't know, I just feel very weird about it, to be honest. It gives me the impression of something that is not finished. You see what I mean? I did fix the fade, so you didn't see the abrupt movement, but I tried a couple of times, and you had this feeling that the race is finished, but I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't know. That's why I ended up going back to the as it was before. Bro Cookie is asking about rolly start. If there will be rolly start. I'm pretty confident. No, there will be. We had a couple of brainstorming chats with Simone and Luca Sodano and so on, and Manuel, to talk about, and Aris as well, talking about the implication of doing something like that. And the moment you start to think about that, your head is exploding. Of course, if you see what in single player is a much easier situation to handle, but I would say no. I would say no. Will championship be ready for 1.8? I hope so, guys. I hope so. I'm waiting for that. Exactly like you. I'm not the one working on it. So, more than using the leash of the developer, there isn't much I can do. So, what CPU and GPU I'm using? I'm using a 1080. And what's the CPU? The CPU is this one that you can read here, and it's currently downclocked to 370s because if I put it at 4 gigahertz, the cooler is not able to cope with it, and I get the system freezing on me, and not nice. Stefano, are you using SSE in the code, and if so, is it native on some library? If I remember correctly, SSE is not available on 64-bit. The 32-bit, yes, it's used in our math library, which is the Microsoft, whatever it's called. What is called the Microsoft library? DirectX Math, could it be? So our graphic library, math library, DirectX Math, yeah. So for some operation is using this. So the very expensive operation, matrix, quaternions operation is using this Microsoft Math, which is got the intrinsic blah 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 stuff. So it doesn't really have the automatic SSC implementation. Don't you think AC needs more new guys to make a studio grow? Actually, yes, we have one more guy. Welcome to Alvio Costantini that just joined us. Officially, he will join us tomorrow. But he already started working. He will mostly be working at the beginning on Assetto Corsa Pro, but hopefully, he will join us also on work on the main Assetto Corsa. When it comes to stuff, I think it's something that I already discussed in other stream. The point is that it's not that easy. If you grow as a number of programmer, you need more management. So you will need at the moment, the nice thing about our group is that apart from Marco, that is really overviewing the entire company and is sort of like the manager of Kunos Simulazioni. Every other, all the other members are sort of people that just go with what they want to do and they do it. So adding more people, it means that some of us will have to move to a management position where you direct the other. And personally, I have absolutely no ambition to become a manager. So I agree with you that if we want to grow, yes, we need to have more people, but I don't want to grow. I want, this is the company that I designed, and this is the size that I want the company to be. And so it's up to us to do the best product that we can do with the number of members that we have, because growing up as a company, adding more people will also mean that people like myself will be required to spend the day managing other people and writing Word documents instead of coding. And it happened already in my career, and I only lasted 2 years before I quit my job and I started Kunos Simulazioni. So it's not gonna happen. I don't want to be a manager. So I agree with you, but it's not going to happen. Marco is in chat. He should really contact me on Skype and join me on Skype. Lucian is asking if there will be a possibility to have a qualify in a couple of race, so race 1 and race 2 on the server. Originally, that's how the server was designed. So it's not a huge step to do, because it was originally designed. The server doesn't care. It's just how it's reading the configuration file. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Which conference are we next at? I still don't know. I think both me and Marco will like to be at the Nürburgring Sim Racing Expo, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think Marco knows more than me. People asking if Marco is preparing a surprise like Dasha. I think Marco, after Porsche, I really have no idea what kind of surprise. Setiado, I don't think it's possible because I don't think you are not going to hear me. Let's try, but I don't think this is going to work because the microphones are going to, let's see. Hey! Mi senti? I think, yeah, I knew it. I knew that Marco couldn't hear me. Okay, we will do this next time. We will do this next time. The reason why it doesn't work is because my microphone is taken by the application to do the stream, so the Skype doesn't. But hold on, but you can hear Marco, so let's do this anyway. Let me see if I can do this. Mi senti adesso? Mi senti, Marco? Io ti sento. Ok. Non so. I don't know if the guys still can hear me. Do you guys can still hear me? Well, io e te ci sentiamo, non so se loro continuano a sentirmi.
Mi sa di no perché da YouTube non ti sento. Cioè, è come se fosse indifferita tra YouTube
Sì, no, quello è normale che c'è un delay di tipo 30 minuti, così del genere. Ok, so, sì, sì, ok, so we have Marco now, in audio, finally we have Marco, he doesn't have a webcam, yeah, so you cannot see Tom Cruise. We finally have Tom Cruise, so, you barely hear Marco, hold on, I can do this, guys.
I don't have the webcam here, so.
Marco, talk.
Okay. Hello everybody. I don't have my webcam here because I'm at home on a desktop PC. So welcome. It's nice finally to hear you. It's like to to be on the radio. And if you have any question, I can read the chat on the Stefano streaming. So yes, if you want to ask something and I can answer, I will be glad to do that.
Marco, they're asking about funny stories about how a funny story about people you have met that found out you are in the that people that discovered that we are from the Assetto Corsa dev team. Uh, yeah, many stories. Go on, Marco, and then I will do mine.
Hey, it's a very long story.
I'm I'm still. Vai, vai Marco, dicono che sei basso, sto cercando in tutti i modi di alzare, ma.
Let me see if I can change something. My
Hold on, because I'm an idiot. I'm a totally an idiot. Hold on.
blah 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 blah. Can you hear me better?
I hope, I hope, I hope they can hear. Let's wait.
Okay.
This is totally live, guys. You know, we didn't prepare this. So
Okay. So first question.
wait, Marco. Let's
Yeah.
see if
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
the lag is terrible. So we need to wait for the guys in the chat to tell us that they can hear you. Okay. They can hear you. Go on, Marco. Go.
Okay. Okay. So first question, because I can ciao tutti. Hello everybody. Hello. Okay. So first question, except for Porsche.
Okay, guys. Go on. Go on with the
Perfect.
question.
Okay. Cool. I hope to be also in video so that we can make a proper and huge show. Showtime with my teammate and very good friend. And can you hear me well?
I think it's as good as it gets. I'm much louder than,
Oh, okay.
but you know,
Okay.
I don't think I can do much about this.
Okay, first question about tracks. Yes, we are working on a new track. It's still in negotiation, so I don't want to, I can't tell about the track itself, but the idea is to add at least another new licensed track in Assetto Corsa for this year, hopefully. Because,
But considering the new poll that one user did on the internet,
yeah.
I
So
think you
it's
got many guys will be happy.
yeah.
Many guys will be happy
At
too.
least more or less half of the guys.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not something that, you know, like, you know, 3% will be happy. It's like
Yes, and
most of them.
the funny story is that one of the most asked tracks, and I'm working on it since more or less 1 year now. But I can tell you that dealing with the tracks is it's very tricky because you could not believe, but it's very challenging to catch them and to finalize an agreement. Even if I mean, especially for the tracks licensing, the activity asked to the trucks company to guarantee a license is not so much. I mean, they just need to sign the agreement, to take the money, and to give us the access to the track for the laser scan, pictures, and videos. And with the car companies, they need to work much more in terms of approvals, submissions, delivery of files, and so on. With the trucks, is should be much more easier, but it isn't at all, because most of the trucks don't have a proper licensing department. So we usually work with the marketing department and so on, and they are very slow in getting you back an answer. But looks like that after an year of contact, we are close to find a deal with this circuit, and so we hope to make an announcement soon. Uh, uh, I can't briefly explain how the licensing progress works, because because it's a nightmare. I mean, at the beginning was in 2011 was really challenging for us, because we was a absolutely unknown company with very few titles in our portfolio, and
Marco, say hello to Gamer Muscle that is in the
sorry,
stream.
Stefano.
Say hello to Gamer Muscle. Gamer
Oh,
Muscle.
Game Muscle. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm improving my English a lot thanks to your reviews, because your English is really strong. But watching your video is always a pleasure. Um, Yes, at the beginning was very difficult for us, because we was pretty unknown from any kind of company. And the funny thing is that when you approach a car manufacturer, one of the first question is, okay, which games you did it before? And our previous games was Netcar and Ferrari Virtual Academy. And the second question is, how many car brands you already have? And when you don't have any car brands yet in your game, it's very tricky to get the best one. Any problem? Any technical problem?
No, go on. I'm just
Okay,
trying
okay.
desperately to get more
Okay.
volume, but go on.
So at the beginning was very difficult, even because we started to work in Assetto Corsa in 5 people with a budget of 70,000 euro. Today, Assetto Corsa costed about 3 million euro. So you can imagine how was tricky and challenging at the beginning to work in it. But we always had been focusing on the fact that we wanted to produce a very strong simulation with a very good care about car details and so on. And car manufacturers really appreciate it. And so at the end, step by step, we have been able to create and rise a very nice product. And the good thing is that today I don't have to catch the car manufacturers, because the latest three contacted us because they wanted to have their cars in Assetto Corsa. And more or less has been the same with Porsche, even if we didn't have relayed a lot of details yet about our partnership. But the partnership with Porsche is not just a license agreement where we are going to pay a lot of money to Porsche and we get the cars back, but we are partners with Porsche. If you go to the Porsche Museum, you will find Assetto Corsa and the Porsche simulators, also the Porsche Museum. Maybe at the moment they are still working on the hardware simulators, but they already use it at the Porsche Lounge at Le Mans and the Nürburgring. Also in the last race at the Nürburgring, they used the Assetto Corsa, and they're working on the Los Angeles Porsche Experience Center, and we are working with Porsche to deliver them a lot of simulators. So we are very proud about the Porsche agreement, because actually Porsche as well as Ferrari and Lamborghini before decided to use Assetto Corsa for their simulators. This can tell you a lot about the depth that Assetto Corsa can achieve. So I think that this is very good also for the community, because it's a sort of a synergy that is good for everybody, for our company, for the game, for the players. Part of the Porsche family, yeah. Can you believe, Matt, that we never found kind of support that like the one we are receiving from Porsche now, because they are very huge fans of Assetto Corsa. So we are receiving literally tons of data. We had the chance to go to the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart on Monday during the weekly closing of the museum, so that they prepare all the historic cars for us in the garage. So we had the chance to take the measures, the pictures, the videos of the cars. We know people around, having the chance to also to get into some cars that are legends of motorsport. And I can tell you that after 5 years, then I get in any kind of cars. I mean, also La Ferrari FX6K, the Lotus 49, that is my unicorn, my personal unicorn. But getting into some cars that have been driven also by people like Steve McQueen, people like that, has been a very good meaning for us in terms of what we have done in the last 5 years. Porsche 15 years electronic cars slave. You know, I think that when you take a decision, you believe that is the best decision you can take. Probably is not what they think today, but I think that electronic cars make a huge work in terms of how many people purchase electronic cars games featuring Porsche cars, and this means that millions of people purchase game with Porsche cars in. And as you can imagine, this is a very important, very powerful marketing tool. So actually, we can't blame Porsche electronic cars for this. But times come where also the sim racing enthusiasts will have the chance to drive the Porsche in a proper simulation. And we are very, very proud to be the first to do that. So someone colleagues are non-exclusive, but yes, tell me which other game in 2016 will have Porsche cars in a proper simulation on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Tell me the name of the title, and I will send you a free copy of Assetto Corsa, signed by all the Kunos team.
Oh, difficult question.
Which one? Which one?
Lee Thorpe. Did we ever say no to a manufacturer?
Well, actually, we have been in the situation where we have said no to Maserati last year because Maserati approached us. And we wanted to have the cars in Assetto Corsa, but the last year we didn't have any free spot to produce the Maseratis. So I had, it's unbelievable, but it's exactly what has happened. I had to tell to Maserati to wait until 2016. And even this year, the first Maseratis was scheduled for the spring, but they had to wait until last 3 weeks with the red pack to have the first Maseratis in the game. And they catch us every week asking, are ready, you are ready, you are ready, because they really wanted to have the Maserati in. So actually last year I told no to Maserati, as well as I'm in standby some other manufacturers today. And last Friday we have received an email from another very well-known and appreciated manufacturer that offered to give us a daily license for Assetto Corsa, but with, and this is a scoop, 24 Porsche cars landing within this year on Assetto Corsa, and other 10 cars, more than 10 cars in development. All the new manufacturers will have to wait to be in Assetto Corsa, hopefully next year. We'll see, because the next program about Assetto Corsa will also depend, as you can imagine, by the console sales. There is a very huge potential, but we never discuss into the team or we think about the console sales. I know that you will not believe me, but I don't have any kind of expectation. Because we are too busy. We are always too busy to think about these things. But yes, we could have some new car manufacturers also next year on Assetto Corsa. Yes, 24-hour Porsche, and 3 models will be available for free as bonus updates. Yes, we thought also it was 20, but we are rescheduled because Porsche is pushing to include a lot of cars into the game. The 2 Porsche packs. Well, we'll have 3 Porsche packs because there are too many, and the timeline, the workflow for the Porsche is too huge for 2 packages, because we are going to reproduce any kind of Porsche. I mean, from the Porsche of the 50s to the winner of the Le Mans 15 and 16, as well as the new lineup from the 911 to the Boxster to the Cayman to the Panamera and so on. And we are going to reproduce all the electronics of these cars and all the features of these cars. And there is a lot of work behind. At the moment, we are also working to include on the next DLC in Assetto Corsa the Ferrari FX6K, the Ferrari 488 GTP, and the Praga R1. So there is too much work to be included the Porsche in 2 DLCs. So the idea is to create our first season pass in order to give you the chance to purchase the Porsche DLC at a very, very good price, and also to enjoy the Porsche not one per time, of course, but some of them per time, so that you can properly enjoy all of the Porsche cars in the proper way. Le Mans cars,
the season pass, I don't know. I think it depends on Steam. I don't know if we can do it.
Yeah, we need to talk with Steam about the season pass for the Porsche, and this is an option also for the PS4 and Xbox One. Yeah, it has been awarded already, but hopes including minor rating or some way to create a clean public online modes. This is actually a question for Stefano.
They know already that the answer is no.
Okay, perfect. Any other dream packs planned for 2016? We have the new DLC featuring the 2 Ferraris and the Praga in order to perfectly align the console version of the game to the Steam version. Except for the Japanese pack and the red pack that also on console will be available on as DLCs. So we'll have a new DLC the same day of the console release on August 26th. And then in late September, hopefully we'll have the first Porsche DLC. And by the way, if you have a very good name for next week, we are going to launch a contest to find the name, a good name for the new DLC with the Ferraris. The Fiat Multipla could be a nice option. And the man who will give the best suggestion for the name of the next DLC will get the game for free. So check the Facebook page next week. You will find some interesting. Yes, the P1 GTR is confirmed, but will come after the Porsche pack. So maybe at the end of the year or in January 17. What happened with the GT86 GT4? It happened nothing. Is in the schedule. Is in the queue because we have a lot of cars and much probably it's one of the candidates of the next not Porsche packs. Tifosi pack, not bad, but we have also a not Ferrari car. We have been in contact with Koenigsegg for a while, but at the end, Koenigsegg started to answer to the emails. So something what sometime happen is that the responsible of the licensing department in the companies leave or move to another work or responsibility, and he leaves the task open. It's something that with Alfa Romeo happened, I think, 3 times. So we need more than 18 months to find a deal with Alfa Romeo. Ciao anche a Luca Miracoli, the master of the 3D modeling in Assetto Corsa. Alpha Giulia, we have some plan for the Alpha Giulia, but it's not confirmed that yet because it also depends from Alfa Romeo. So, but I can tell you that we don't have any plan for Bugatti at the moment. I don't think there is no chance to see a Bugatti in Assetto Corsa 1 at least. Well, what about the wet dream pack? The dream pack itself make you wet already, so. Handicap car, yes, there is in the schedule we are also the Audi TT 15 Cup series, as well as the Porsche Club Sport GT4 and the Porsche Cup Carrera Cup. So you will get some of them. Any possibility about on the license? It would be nice. I don't know. Not so easy to work with Japanese manufacturers. Maserati MC12 GT1 is already in development. Alfa Stradale Tipo 33 is also in slow development. Too many questions, guys. No Subaru in the near future. No, it's not scheduled. Yes, LMP cars in AC1. We got the Audi R8 2014, the Toyota TS 040, and the 2 Porsche 15 and 16. Lancia is not scheduled at the moment. Any more Mercedes car? What about the Smart? What are the requirements use to hire new programmers? This is a question for Stefano, but I can tell you that you must be a very skilled C++ programmer.
Yeah, at the end, C++ for sure. C++, but it just connects to what I was saying before. It's the ability to be part of the team and to be independent. I think the ability to be independent is the most important thing. So not being the kind of programmer that just wakes up in the morning and says, well, nobody gave me anything to do, so I will spend the day on Facebook. So that's definitely not the kind of person. You need to be able to say, well, okay, that's what I think is missing in Assetto Corsa, and I could improve and propose to do it. And so that's the most important, be able to work without management.
About Aston Martin, we had been in touch last year, but we didn't find a good agreement, so we discarded the option to have the Aston Martin in the game. No, we don't have our own laser scanner because it's a very expensive device, and also the technology in this field runs very, very quickly. So the risk is that we purchase a laser scan device for 200,000 euro, and next year is outdated, like the smartphone, So it's much more better to work with a laser scanned company that working with them on track. They deliver us the point cloud. We pay for the point cloud, and that's it. Dacia Sandero, I don't see it happening. As well as for Bentley. WTCC in AC, no, I don't see this option coming. More recent Formula One car, please. I think that you already got some of them 2 weeks ago. I guess there is some good mod with FIA Multipla already available, as well as for the Panda. Peugeot is not going to come in Assetto Corsa 1, at least one. I say one, and not because we are working on Assetto Corsa 2, but just to tell you that I don't see the option to see. Yes, the Audi R8 LMS 16 is already in development. You would see at the January 17. A full series is not an option for as a DLC for a game, because an entire series is too expensive. So the sales of a DLC can't justify the investment required to create an overall series. Suzuka is my unicorn, my pain, because I really tried hard to get an agreement with them, but we didn't found an agreement with Suzuka because their request was actually out of mind. There is any other way to say that. It was really too expensive. It's not without a reason that the circuit is not present also in Project Cars, and also it's called with another name. But I can tell you that Suzuka, after the Nordschleife, is my favorite track ever. But trust, I would like to do that. Suzuka no Sakito, yeah. Well, as you can see, we don't have real trucks with fake names in Assetto, and we don't want to start now. Big on for Kirsten Kluge. Yes, it could be the chance, but you can consider that modeling a laser scanned open road is a huge task. So it's we need to deal between the development cost and the revenues we get from the game, because not because we want to purchase a Ferrari for ourselves, but because any investment, any cost of development must come back to Kunos. And we don't believe that an open road made in LaserScan, and LaserScan is a very expensive technology, can raise enough money to cover the cost of development. The new track in Europe, I don't know, maybe we have a couple of options, but not sure yet. Portimao could be another good option. The problem is sometimes that those tracks that are not often showed in television, I mean in MotoGP or Formula One or GTR series, are considered much less popular. And much less popular means that less people are available to spend money for them. So we are definitely really happy about the feedback we got from Black Cat County. And actually, you can thanks both Maserati and Porsche for the Black County, because they asked to us to create a road map for their simulators. And we would like to create at least another one fictional track like the Black Cat County. Maybe we are thinking something about Tuscany in Italy, or in Scotland. Would be nice, I think. You will update Silverstone curves with black colors. The problem now, having the game that is ready on 3 different platforms, PC, Xbox, and PS4, is that when we update something on PC now, we had to update the game also on console. And the policy about downloads and uploads on the marketplace and PlayStation Network is much more different than Steam. So we had to see what will happen when we release the game also on console about updates. Yeah, Tuscany will be great, Marcel, and actually is exactly what I did last June also with my motorcycle. I ran in a very nice roads, and it would be great to have some of them in Assetto Corsa. What about the new introduced BM4 GT4? I have to tell you that is the first time I heard about it. I didn't know about it, if it is a racing car. But I can confirm you that we got the license for the BMW M6 GT3. You will see it at the beginning of 17. Yeah, please. Guys, the flow of question is too huge. I'm going to answer in random. West Coast of Ireland is perfect for your new location. Oh, why not? Why not? Scotland is an option, but for the motorcycle, Triumph Bonneville. I moved from a Triumph Daytona. It was perfect for the track, but awful for the road. What will the FX6 Praga and 488 GTP cost on PC? Yes, will cost something, but you will be very happy about the price. Very happy. Is there any chance to have an oval pack with cars like NASCAR or Indy? I don't think so. Because we want to make things properly, and just adding an oval track and a NASCAR car just to release things, I don't think that will be a nice idea. Lightweight pack to abgefahren will have the new Lotus 311 that is a huge car. Is already in development now. The price doesn't matter, just release it. Not everybody thinks like you, but thank you. Any vintage trucks coming? Yes, we have two historic trucks almost ready for release.
I already said about Silverstone, so you can say.
Okay. So one of the Silverstone of the 60s, and the other is finally the sopraelevata version for Monza, laser scanned, of course. Track day cars. I think that we have a lot of track day cars at the moment. A lot of them. Modena, the version available for Modena, also the one used by Aris in his videos, is not laser scanned. It has been made by a modder. It's a very nice work, but it's not laser scanned. So I don't know. We can try to find an agreement, but we are not going to laser scan Modena. Marco, is there a chance to get an official rating system? Do you mean multiplayer? I don't know. There is the system created by RSR that I think that is very good already. They're all nice, but no spa. Spa, if you to Twizzar, if you mean spa historic. I can tell you that we made the laser scan in 2013, but it's a very huge job. It's a very huge job to recreate the laser scanned version of the historic Spa that in Grand Prix Legends was one of my favorite tracks, by the way. But it's a huge task, and I don't think that majority of players would use it. Even for free is not main. It's not a matter to release it for free or not. Is that to create the historic Spa-Francorchamps in laser scan would require more than 6 months, and I think that Simone could kill us.
Darcy Kalai Jr. is asking why the dynamic temperature was removed from 1.7 because it didn't work properly, and I wasn't able to implement it for the multiplayer. So it was one of the things that it's one of the things that was in the plan. It's half done, but create some problems during beta testing, and as you know, we already arrived a bit late with the latest update, so it was sadly one to take the axe. Vai Marco, vai. Let's go on.
Sorry, what about merchandising? We are thinking about merchandising, and we are working on an agreement with a very strong racing brand. So I think that he will get some nice news soon. Soon, trademark.
Guys, let's say that we go on until 7:15. So 15 minutes more for Marco.
Okay.
For your question to Marco, because you know the stream is already 2 hours long. So
okay.
we knew that it was going to be like this when Marco was in the stream. But you know, it's cool. So because you know, for more than 1 year now, I've been doing streams, and I'm always saying I don't know. You know, it's Marco. You have to ask Marco. So now they ask you, they can. So you know, they are firing all the questions they can.
Look, I can also sell you my one. 400 euro.
Ma Luca Mirra è Luca nostro.
Yes. It's a pleasure for me to be there. I'm usually travel a lot for work, also in the weekends. So with Stefano, we are trying to catch each other on Sunday, but it's not so easy. Mark, any chance for some I'll climbs? Not to real climbs. Maybe we could create a fictional track. Fiorano test track, I think that is would be nice, but since you can't race there, you can just practice. I don't know if is useful or not. Thank you. Marco, please speak again about rain. Yeah, we are not going to get rain in Assetto. Rain is not confirmed. How good is your pizza? It's very, very good. More Chevrolet cars. Not scheduled yet, but I don't exclude them at all. Any historic Ferrari planned for the future? Maybe. Any chance to get the new Audi TTRS in Assetto Corsa? Yes, you will get it, and it will be a free update next year. Which car you want to see in AC, Marco? Well, we get all the cars I wish. I would like to have also the Aston Martin, but we didn't find a good compromise. So I think that maybe we'll get an Aston Martin in future in Assetto Corsa 2. Not DTM. DTM is not taken in consideration.
Sorry, Marco. The WEF Designs is asking why the 488 GTB has the tire model version 7. I think you mean the 488 GT3, not the GTB. And the reason is because it's a GT3, so all the other GT3 have tire model version 7. So we didn't want to introduce a different behavior. Aris just sent in beta testing version 10 for all the GT3 cars in Assetto Corsa. So I think in 1.8 all the GT3 cars will bump up to version 10. So that would be interesting because it's the first time that guys will be able to compare a little bit, compare what the V10 is compared to the V7. Go on.
For Andy Rich, more not laser scanner track will be good. We think so, but we had not so not very good, not bad reviews, but you know, when you start to create only laser scanner tracks, people want only laser scanner tracks. Then we have seen some flames about Zandvoort, despite of the tracks was pretty good. So I think that unless we create fictional tracks like the Black Cat County, for the real tracks, we want to continue to use a laser scan, even if it's expensive, but it worth the cost. Will be the 488 be bopped? What do you mean, Richard?
Bopped means you mean rebopped, like, you know, you mean the GT3 car, Richard? Please clarify. I don't understand. I don't think we have the GTE. Abbiamo la 488 GTE. No, abbiamo la GTB.
GTB.
The road car. We will have the
car. We will release the road car.
So in the next pack we will have the 488 GTB, which is a road car. not the GTE car. So there will be no GTE.
Ever consider a Ferrari Enzo? Actually not, because I don't like it. And I'm one of the two guys that choose the the cars with Stefano. And I have a debt with Stefano. Whatever any Ferrari we go in the future, it must be a 250 GTO because I promised it to Stefano that the next Ferrari will be a GTO.
Finally.
If we release a new Ferrari car, I'm not sure yet. For Jay Martini about the liveries, now that Assetto Corsa is going to be very, very popular and famous. Also, the car manufacturer has a bit more tricky about the liveries for the cars because they want to check everything. So the entire process is much more slow. So we can't release as many libraries as we like. But I think that we can create some good contests in future, so that if you design a library for Assetto Corsa, you have the chance also to see on console. Ferrari GTO is not confirmed. I just say that in case we release a new Ferrari, will be a GTO. That is different. Of course, library, yes, we'll get it. We just didn't have the time, enough time to release it with the DLC, but it will be available later. For IOL, about Group A, DRM, Group I, and so on, no. There are not new cars planned. For Splendid Through, it's a surprise, but at least for this year, we should release another new laser scanner track. And is one of the most asked tracks of the community, so that will be no Le Mans. I already can tell you that will not be Le Mans. What about BMW M6 GT3 has been confirmed for next year? You guys attended the Spa 24-hour race. You mean the one that has been in this weekend, or there is another one? Probably the WEC. I don't think so. Will the Ford GT17 come out? Maybe. Nothing is going on about Lesart or also Batras at the moment, but Batras could be a national. Batras is not confirmed at all.
Guys, 2 minutes left for your questions to Marco. 2 minutes.
Is Audi Sport 4 S1 still coming? Yes, will be. No Le Mans, sorry for Scuderia Pole. And I think that is a reasonable decision since we don't have the night racing in Assetto Corsa, and they will not have it in Assetto Corsa 1. I think that could be a waste of money to get a huge license like Le Mans without a 24-hour race. Any plans for some new McLarens? Yes, Serson, the McLaren P1 GTR and the McLaren 570S. Caterham at the moment is not an option, as well as Sebring is not an option. It's not confirmed. And nor the Ferrari F12, nor Tibuar, no Alpha 75.
Pergusa.
Cosa?
Pergusa.
Pergusa. Forget about Pergusa. Next time I will tell you a very funny story about Pergusa. The next chapter. I don't think we'll be on the next streaming next week, because this week I will change the tires on my on my bottom wheel. So next Sunday a very nice ride is waiting for me. McLaren F1 car, Marco. If you mean the current Formula One, I don't think so. Any estimate for the Toyota TS40? Yes, January or February 17, yes. Not Road America. Are you getting the McLaren GT4? Is not scheduled at the moment, but maybe it could be a nice option.
Okay, time is up.
Okay.
Last question. Do the last question.
The
last question.
A new question. A new question, because you can see the chat for the things that you already asked. No, the McLaren Formula One car, road car, no, we don't have it, no. And this was the last one.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, so you killed Marco. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. You know, finally, I think you got lots of answers from a lot of questions that you always ask me, and you get no answer. So thank you very much to Marco for popping in.
Has been a pleasure. I was working here, or the new Ferrari, so.
There you go. We work all the time. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. I will see you next time for the next stream, and ciao, 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 ciao.
Ciao, ciao.